You're listening to Why Germany podcast, the best place for relocation stories and expert tips, sponsored by Over the Offek, relocation agency to Germany, with your host, Eden Levine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Why Germany podcast. My name is Eden Levine, as with me is the lovely Bruna Silva. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me here, Eden.
That was something that I was looking for a while. We didn't manage to do it several times, but I'm super happy we got to this point. You might hear an additional guest that is on the background, and this is, what's his name?
Chopp. That means draft beer in Brazilian Portuguese.
Chopp. Okay. Chopp. So I wish I could meet Chopp and introduce him to Chico, which is our dog. But that's not going to happen today. But what is going to happen today is Bruna going to tell us why Germany.
So one of the reasons why I came to Germany was actually Berlin. Just by the fact that, as I think everybody knows, Berlin is so multicultural, so many different people, many just cultures, languages, costumes, and I always loved people and getting to know them. And being in Berlin, it's like, just traveling around the world in one place. So that's why Germany, and that's why Berlin as well.
Yeah, so maybe the question was not correct, you're saying. Great. So we are excited to hear about the whole story of you coming from Rio to Berlin.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, adding more to your last question, I had the privilege of studying in a German school, in a German high school. Not that I had all classes in German, but I had the German class almost every day. And that made me, of course, learn German, but of course, learn about the German culture, learn about Berlin and other cities here. And I just grew up knowing that this place was amazing. You can have a really good life here. People are nice. And I can talk more about that. But I heard a lot of good things about Germany throughout my whole life. Then I decided to do design in my university, and I always knew, about Bauhaus, and I knew that Germany was also great for designers. And when I was done with my studies, I was also done with a long-term relationship. I was done with the Brazilian culture. I love my country, but can be very macho sometimes. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and see what's going on in Berlin and see if I can have a nice life there. And 11 years ago, I got a ticket to come here. I came and I have been here since then. Of course, it wasn't that easy. There was like 1 year preparation, but in the end, that was the thing. I finished my studies and I came.
Wow. Okay, there are a lot of questions that we're going to go deep in right now. So one of them, and I think the first one, for me, the idea of being in a German school is something that I'm not familiar with for myself. I've heard already before about people. But to me, it's interesting because you're saying, hey, this is what got me exposed to Germany, to the German culture. Did you have a German teacher?
I had German teachers as well in the German language classes, but not in the other classes. The other ones were Brazilians.
And they were also explaining about how it is like in Germany and like the history, the culture. So this is how you got introduced to that?
Yes, absolutely. Not only during the German classes, but also like history classes. Of course, we learned about the Second World War and stuff like that. We also had a German principal. Like, he was very German, but he was always I think he did a good job in terms of telling us about the bad past of Germany and how we should overcome that in the sense of recognizing it and just making it better in the future. So now Germany is more modern, Germany is more open. So not only the German teachers, but also the principal will tell us this kind of stories, which I agree. I agree that nowadays it's definitely more modern, definitely, people are more open, but can be even better.
Yeah, like everywhere. But it's very interesting. And do you know what was the reason to choose German school as the place where you're gonna learn?
Yes, definitely. My parents, they wanted me to learn another language other than English. They thought that English wasn't like enough, that I would have more chances to have a better life, a successful life, if I knew another language. To be honest, especially my mom, she would always tell me like, go live abroad, like life is better abroad and blah blah blah. Nowadays I'm like, wait, like, and Brazil is amazing. I love my country. I have a sister, she went to the same school as I did. She doesn't want to leave Rio, and I totally understand her side. But yeah, I just grew up with this idea of you have to go abroad, you have to go abroad, it's better there. And I don't regret it. But I also, now I can see better that my mom didn't know a lot about living in Germany and living abroad, and she's not 100% right. Of course, that Germany has a lot of good things, but being from Rio, I know that, yeah, I know that also here in Europe, there is a very bad reputation about Rio, about Brazil, and I know that it's not 100% like that as well.
I think it's changing also a little bit with time. I don't know. That's my feeling. I think my feeling is that the whole South America's reputation is slowly changing. I don't know, for the good. Yeah, but I wonder. So your mom never relocated, but then that's kind of. That was I heard already before, the German dream, or like the American dream, but like in Europe or Germany or something like in that situation. That was how the generation of your parents were thinking about how to have a good life if it's outside of Brazil.
Yes, my mom, she always had this thing about, she also thought about going to the US in the 90s, but my dad he was like, no, we're not going to do that. My mom, she always had this dream about living abroad. I don't know why. Maybe I should ask her. But she will say like, I don't know, because Brazil, she has a very bad mentality about Brazil, which I'm very sad to think about. I mean, she lives in fucking Copacabana. She could go to the beach and stuff like that. She prefers to stay at home and just listen to bad stories. But anyway, so since the 90s, I hear this thing like, let's go to the US. And my dad was like, no, let's not go to the US. We have a good job career here. Why would you go there? We're not going to have the same life there. But then to Europe, it was something that she was really into. And yeah, since she couldn't do it, she put that in my mind. She tried to put that in my younger sister's mind. Didn't succeed, but she always tells my sister, like, go abroad, go to Germany, do like Bruna did. And she's like, no, why? And I agree. I'm like, why? Why should you do that? Again, I don't regret it, but I'm more like, I come here and then I go to Brazil during the winter here, because after Corona, I really cannot stay here during the winter. Like, it's absolutely terrible for my brain. I can't. So I stay and I go and I stay in Rio for like 2-3 months. Also, this connection of my mom with Germany starts definitely because my granddad, that I didn't know, he died before I was born, but he worked for Bahia in Brazil, and he used to study German. So there is this whole Freudian thing, I would say.
The connection goes deeper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned that you had a long year of preparation. Tell me what was part of this preparation.
Working a lot, not going out, because I was saving as much money as I could to then revert this money into euros, and Brazilian currency. I mean, it's very bad now, but at the time I was lucky, because at the time it was bad. Now it's very bad, unfortunately, like the exchange rate. But then, yeah, I remember that this whole year I didn't go out. I didn't like buy clothes. I did nothing. I was just saving money, and I would go out to one place. I would go to the Rio consulate, to the German Rio consulate, because I would always go there to ask them questions. And actually, Facebook groups, they helped me a lot. So people would give me some ideas about what to expect and which kind of visa I could come with, because I don't have passport. I don't have the right to have a passport, like heritage passport. I don't have that. And so yeah, I was trying to get as much tips as I could, especially about how to stay in Germany. So I would go all the time, like almost every week to the consulate and to be like, but people on Facebook group, they told me that. Is that true? And okay, like a lot of back and forward. And yeah, in the end, I decided to come with this preparation visa. So studying German for 2 years and then changing it for a master or a job. And then things worked out in the end. Like last minute, I got a job. Otherwise, I would have to come back to Brazil, which will be fine. Probably I will try again to do like a master or a job, but thankfully I got a job that supported me through this whole journey.
Wow. And you think that your German studies in school was preparing you for Germany? Do you think it was enough preparation, or was it completely different?
It wasn't enough because also I learned German in the high school. Then I went to university. So for 4 or 5 years, I didn't really spoke German. But when I arrived here, I was very aware that I knew the grammar. Of course, that I knew the basic also, like in terms of vocabulary, I was a bit like hostage. I always forget this word in English, but yeah, it was a long time that I didn't speak German. But in terms of grammar, I really understood it and I had a lot in my mind. For example, like if you use weil, the verb goes to the end, and even things like you should say Arbeit and not Arbeit. I don't know, like just little things that I totally, that I was very aware, that was very like to have that in my background. And I am very like, how can I say, I'm very proud of people who come here, they know no German at all, and they just learn it in like 1-2 years. I have so much respect for these people because I am going to turn 37 next week, and I think my brain cannot get more language information. I think that I'm like, that's it. What I know. But I don't know if I can learn a new language, especially German. And a lot of people, they do that. So I really respect people who come here and they just learn it in 1-2 years.
Yeah, well, my mom is now on the age of 57, relocated to Germany, and now is handling the language. So I can tell you that I have some some examples.
Yeah,
I can show you. It's not going to take 2 years or 3 years to master the language, obviously, but it's not impossible. Mm-hmm. That's for you at home that are listening, and if you are above the age of 37, you are free to still go and pursue the dream, because the language. Even for people below the age of 37 is very challenging and can be a pain in the ass. So just go for it.
No, I totally agree. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. I know that I could, and I know that I am saying that I'm exaggerating. Of course, that I learn more and more German just by being here. And I like that. It's fun. But it's kind of challenging, even for me, that I have like a good base. But I'm so happy that at least grammar, that's very good in my mind, I think.
I agree. So I want you please to explain, or to maybe put in words, the first days in Germany. How was it like for you?
Oh, the first days, a lot of beer. Like, wow, this beer is so great. And it's cheap, because beer in Brazil, especially 10, 11 years ago. Now we have good brands, but at the time it was like very cheap and shit beer. Shopee. No, sorry, my dog. He wants to be part of the podcast. Anyway, just, being very excited and just thinking like, oh my God, I'm here. And it was summer. I moved in July. So, just making friends. And also the first 2 weeks that I arrived, I actually stayed in the couch of a German guy that I met through couch surfing. Because again, we're talking about 10 years ago, it was easier to get a place here, but still it was already like a bit weird. I think it was starting to get hard. And I found this guy on couch surfing. We talked for like the whole month. I wanted to make sure that I was safe. He was like, I can talk to your parents through Skype and blah, blah, blah. And the good thing is that he spoke Portuguese. He had lived in Brazil. He had like safety badge from couchsurfing. There were reports from other women saying like, I stayed at his place and everything was fine. So, when you're a woman, you kind of have to think about those things. So yes, that happened, which was great. So I stayed at his place for 2 weeks for free. And 1 week that I was here, I found the place in Friedrichshain. So, yes, there was this thing about being excited, etc. I have a funny story. I'll say in a bit. Being excited, but also starting to understand that I needed to get an Ameldu and, of course, just a new flat. The funny story that I have is that in my first night, I was at his balcony, and it was him, other friends, and it was super, super fun and cute to say hi to me, to introduce me to Berlin. And then in the first night, I looked at the other building, and they have this glass that you cannot really see people, but you can see the silhouette. So basically, let's just say that a couple, they were doing like an intercourse. And they were like, well, welcome to Berlin. But I knew that Berlin was more liberated in terms of sexuality and stuff like that, the clubs and stuff like that. And they were like, yeah, just welcome to Berlin. And they were just drinking beers. And this Brazilian girl coming from this Catholic background, I was like, oh my God, they're not ashamed that they are doing that. Oh my God. But it was amazing. I had a lot of cultural clashes throughout those years and really made me a better person.
You're saying that your imagination of how is it gonna be in Berlin kind of came true in reality? Or is it completely different than what you thought it would be?
It's not completely different, but for sure the bureaucracy or even how we are treated as people, definitely, yeah, that's the bad side. I had one idea because, again, I grew up in this German school and they were always saying how German was modern, amazing, and open. Maybe related to other years in the past of Germany, but now if you're a non-white, of course you suffer more. And I know that I'm privileged because I am what they call like light skin. Now it's summer and I'm even like more darker. But there is, of course, still in the whole Europe, a lot of xenophobia, a lot of racism. Not going to sugarcoat that. And I think people should be aware of that. And I think, people should get more educated on that, me included, everybody. But anyway, in this sense, could be better. I think that my bubble of friends in Brazil is more well educated about those things than the same bubble that I have here. And I hope that the German government will do more things about it, maybe programs, trying to also integrate the Germans with us, or even the white Germans with the non-white Germans, because those people, they also suffer here as like, oh, they're not German enough. I have this crazy story. A German girl told me that she's from this small town. She's totally German. Her whole family, her whole lineage. But even for the town, she wasn't German enough because she wasn't blonde enough. And she heard that her whole life, and she is German. Can you imagine that? Seriously, I can connect you with this girl. She will tell you this story. When she told me that, I'm like, wow, this is new for me. And she was like, yep, that's how hard it can be depending on the area that you are in Germany. So that's why I am in Berlin, and I would not go to another city in Germany, because here it's like the most multicultural one, I would say.
If you want to learn more about relocation to Germany, look for Over the Ofek on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Right. I mean, I think because also Berlin is now declared as the most expensive city in Germany. So, yeah, congratulations to Berlin. They surpassed Munich in that.
Munich.
Then I think it's going to inevitably go and spread into more cities than just Berlin, which is a good thing because as you mentioned, like we need to have more people from all over the world across Germany so that they're not kind of stuck in their bubble and believing that everybody else is like the evil. That's not to say that it's not the reality now. So I live in Leipzig, and we also have a lot of people from all over the world because of the university and the orchestra and the music city. And so it's like there's so many other cities that there is reasons for people to come from all over the world. So it is happening. It's just that, especially in villages, which is like super small and secluded, and they have their own bubble, and I don't think it's easily going to be broken. But it's okay. I mean, we don't suffer from that because technically we're not there, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to slowly, I think, German slowly happen.
I hope you're right, Adams. Just,
I mean, they don't have any choice, right? We are here, and we're here to stay. So, yeah, sooner or later. But I know a lot of Germans as well who are super happy from also this change. And, they are a lot of the time taking one semester abroad, or they are visiting a year somewhere. So a lot of them are actually trying to become more knowledgeable and more culturally broad, and expanding their horizons and not being super German about this. So, and they come back to Germany, so they are bringing it with them. So there are also the people who are super happy about this, and we are embracing them with very much happiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me, how is your progression here in Berlin? What is it that you do? What is it that happened during your 11 years in Germany?
Oh, girl, yeah. Okay, so during those 2 years, I really focused on getting my German better, and then maybe I was going to get a master. But then, as I told you, thankfully, I got a job in my profession. I worked as a visual designer, digital designer, product designer at a company for a long time until I got my permanent visa. And then after a week, I quit because it was in the middle of the pandemic and I was very burned out. I talked to them about that. I was like, look, I have been here for a long time. You guys really helped me. I learned a lot. Very thankful for that. But at this point, I can't process anything. I can't work. And they were very nice that they kind of fired me because I asked. So I got straight into the, what is it? Algae 2?
Alge 1. No, Alge 1 is...
it's the 1. Okay, yeah. Because I was working for this place for 6 years. So I had almost 2 years of support.
So unemployment benefit, basically.
Exactly. But in the middle of that, I was like, wait, I have this community and I think I can monetize it because I also deserve it, because I am putting energy, work, mental health into this project, so I should monetize it. So I started.
Let's talk about this project. Let's not tease people because they don't know what you're talking about.
So while I was working in this design agency that I told you about, I was in my 5th year here, and I was still struggling with integrating, especially with the bureaucracy, because again, I didn't come with a passport. So I always needed to renew my visa. And that, for me, it was one of the most anxiety-inducing experience. Just talking about it, I'm like, the Ausländerbehörde. I hope it's okay if I'm very blunt about those things.
We are talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Good.
That's the purpose.
Okay. Yes. Berlin and Germany can be amazing. As you were saying, there are great cities, not only Berlin, that it's very multicultural, even like, I don't know, if you talk about the big cities as Bremen, Hamburg, Köln, Frankfurt, Leipzig by itself, Dresden, Munich. Yes, those cities, they're very multicultural. I think that they are the best ones for us to come in the start, at least, maybe. Why am I saying that? Because yes, at least in Berlin, the Ausländerbehörde, depending where you came from, because that plays a role. If you come from the West, if you come from the Australia, Japan, you have some privileges. I didn't have that coming from Brazil. I hired a lawyer to get my my permanent visa, and I had all the papers, but then the Ausländerbehörde, they were asking for extra papers for me. Then my lawyer told me that probably they were doing that because I'm Brazilian. Can you imagine that? So anyway, there's that.
Just a small star. Ausländerbehörde is the German word for foreign authorities.
Yeah, so the immigration center, right? Yeah, that's very
that's a new thing now in Berlin. Yeah.
And remember that when I was really coming from Rio to Berlin, I was, going to some Facebook groups, Brazilians in Germany. And I thought that that was a very good idea. That was super helpful. When I arrived in Berlin, I found groups that they were mixed and they were like free advice Berlin or things like that for expats in Berlin as well, something like that. I loved the idea. I was totally for it. Unfortunately, and again, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, there were some trolls in the group. And what I experienced, other women as well, that men, they would text us and they would sometimes leave not that nice comments. For example, if you're looking for a gynecologist or something that is very like women related, it's already not easy to expose yourself like that, even on internet. And then when you see like a mean or a funny joke comment, you're like, come on, I don't need that. I came here to be supported and to have information. With that being said, I was like, you know what? This idea of Facebook groups are great. I think I'm going to do one only for women, because then we don't have to explain ourselves about our experiences. We kind of know more or less the baseline of it. Of course, we come from different countries, different languages. Of course, that there is going to have some misunderstandings from time to time. But the rule number one from my group is to be empathetic and be nice. And the name of this group is called International Women in Berlin. When I started it, I invited like 50 people, just people that I knew. I had no idea what was going to happen. The growth was totally organic. And right now we are almost 40,000 members inside of Facebook. But now we also have a newsletter. This newsletter is going to hit 6K next week. And I started it in January. We also have an Instagram that I started 2 years ago and has like almost 15K. So it's a big community, very active. Sometimes people recognize me on the street, which is really funny. And so when we were like around 20K, I was like, wait, I'm putting a lot of energy here. This is a job. And then I started monetizing it. But the way that I started monetizing it is not like, oh, I want to make money. But I started doing events because the girls, they were asking for events. I started to deliver them resources because they were asking for those resources. So everything that I do, first of all, I also want it to be affordable. Yes, I think it's just fair that I get some money from it and my team of volunteers. But it's always like 10, 15 euros, sometimes 5, depending of the thing, of the resource. So this is what am I doing now? It's not easy, but we're getting there. It's very fulfilling. I love it. The events are great. You're invited. You should come for sure.
All the audience is also invited.
Absolutely.
When you're women, of course. And this is something that I like. I don't know if the audience know, but I also host a female entrepreneurs community here in Leipzig, and also very international and in English, and also people here are welcome to join. But what I get a lot, because I speak about this obviously very openly and inviting people, is what about the men? Mm-hmm. So do you get these kind of questions? What about the men?
I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care. I fucking don't care. I'm sorry if I'm being very blunt. Men, okay, if we want to start this conversation, first of all, when I say men, or when I say like patriarchy, and I have this thing, burn the patriarchy. When I talk about men as a group, I'm not really talking about men as individuals. I'm talking about the system that we are, that unfortunately gives them still a lot of benefits. Not that I don't want them to get benefits, of course. And of course that also the patriarchy is also very bad for them. I know that men, they kill themselves more than women. And there is a lot of pressure on them. They drink more alcohol. They have more heart attacks. I don't want that to happen to them, because I know that those are consequences from the patriarchy. But we are the one in the front that are getting more backlash from the patriarchy. So when I say men and when I say I don't care about men, it's more, this is just me being very dramatic. I do care about men. I have one at home, but I love men. I do. It's like people, and I love talking to them, and I have friends. And, it's just that in our system, there are already a lot of places that they can come in, and historically they could come in and we cannot. So I think it's totally fine if I create a space, a safe space for us women, because even like in Hamburg, I know that there is parts of the Hipperbahn Street that women cannot come in. We cannot come in sometimes in certain shisha bars, or it's not that we are not welcome, but I wouldn't go because I know that I wouldn't feel safe. And again, historically, power places, they weren't open for women. Banks, we couldn't go to banks. We couldn't go to work. At some point, some countries, and maybe some countries, you still need like the signature of your dad, of your brother, husband, that you can go to work or you can open banks. So historically, women never had these places, but men had. So I myself, Bruna, one individual, I care about helping women. I totally support other women who want to care about men, or men wanting to care about men. I think that's the best thing because they can talk better about themselves and their feelings. I can talk about women. So I'm going to focus on women, but I wish that all men, they start being more vulnerable, because in my group, people are vulnerable. I don't want men creating groups to say bad things about women. But yeah, but for example, the next event that we're going to host on the 26th, it's also open for men. I do want to create more mixed groups. I think it's beneficial for everybody. And I asked to the girls, like, invite the men that you have in your lives, like the friends. I don't want it to be like super visible to everybody, but I want it to be an invitation from girls who are in the group inviting other men in their circles to come. So I want to do that more and more. But I also want somebody to create a group like mine for men. I think that would be great. But I think that they also need to be open to be vulnerable. Yeah, I talked a lot. I'm sorry.
No, perfect. This is every podcaster's dream. Okay. No, but I also think like when I get this question, I also say that for me, the dream is at some point for all of us to be equal and to be speaking the same language and playing the same game. So for that to happen, we first need to get to that point, but we cannot do that with this mixed already from the beginning. Because that's the reality, that's the harsh reality, especially like with entrepreneurship, it's even harder, right? Because yes, there are already people, women who are managers, who are even presidents, and so on. It's not the majority, or it's not 50-50, but we're getting there. In entrepreneurship, it's also still a place where the majority is white men. So this is also why I'm saying we are getting there. We want to get there. We need to push harder when it comes to women in these kind of groups or in this kind of environment. So it cannot happen when there are men looking around and, saying, oh, that's not fitting, or that's not how you're supposed to be doing businesses, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. So I understand that completely. I was just wondering if you also get this kind of feedback.
Not really, because to be honest, I don't have a lot of contact with men. I don't know. I have my boyfriend, I have a couple of friends. If they're men, they're usually gay as well. That was like that my whole life, seriously. I'm open to meet more heterosexual men. I do think that they're great. Actually, I say that to my boyfriend sometimes. I have been going more to mixed meetups, and I have been meeting like heterosexual men, and I come home and I'm like, oh my God, I had some good testosterone vibes today. That's good. That's good. I want more of that. But again, most of the times when I get exposed to men, it's in mixed groups. Of course, they're great people, but sometimes there are some trolls, and I'm like, I don't want. And I don't want to expose myself maybe to the risk of being, somebody being aggressive to me. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But I wish there were more safe space. I'm totally with you.
No, I agree. Tell me nowadays, after 11 years of living in Berlin, what do you miss the most?
In Rio, what I miss the most? Meu Deus, what I miss the most. Sorry. The people.
I love Portuguese. Continue.
Thank you. That's nice. Thank you. I love Brazilian people. I do miss Brazil. I miss people from Rio, I have to say. Here in Berlin, there are a lot of people from the south of Berlin. Berlin, Brazil, because most of people from the south, they're descendants from German, Italians, Polish, so they had the passport, so that's easier to make them to immigrate here. So there are a lot of people from the south of Brazil. So because they have these descendants, I feel sometimes that their humor is more closed. They're a little bit like, I love them still, of course, but people from Rio, I miss people like me, like people like loud and, same references. And yeah, I really miss people from Rio. I do miss that. I just miss the vibes. It's just the whole package, Brazil and Rio, seriously, because you have the beach, you have the cold beer, you're sitting with your friends on the street, and then there's samba on the background, and then it's a dream. Like, seriously, it's a dream. It's too much, and that's one of the reasons why I'm not there. It can be very chaotic, can be like too much. And as I told you, it is conservative and macho, but it's still also amazing. That's the thing. Every place has the goods and cons. So I would definitely recommend to people who are listening to us to really consider what it's good and the bad, like where you are and where you want to go here in Germany or any other country in the world.
Right. No, I agree completely. I mean, this is the kind of thing, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I also come from a warm country, and sometimes you miss the beach and you miss some not so stuckiness. I don't know how to call that, this German mentality
the
that is
Schnauzer.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, they don't have the Leipziger Schnauzer as far as I heard, but I think I know what you mean. Yeah, it's sometimes, especially people who are used to fast pace or being loud or yelling to the other person that you know from the end of the street, and it's completely normal. Sometimes I miss that. Yeah. Sometimes I miss that. Sometimes when I see other Israelis doing that in Europe, I'm like, oh shit. But this is I know completely what you're talking about. But do you feel that you are fully integrated in Germany?
Absolutely not. You're me laughing. Of course not, girl. I get kicked out of bars.
What?
Yes. I have fights with people on the streets. Of course I'm not integrated, and that's fine. And I don't think that everybody should be fully integrated. Also, what is that? I do pay my taxes, I work, I'm trying to do the best for this country. But also, I would say that Germany or some Germans, I just think that, okay, Germans love Brazil, but they like it there. When we bring these vibes here, I know that it can be too much. And I know that I am more like toned down. But still, I don't want to be fully integrated, because being fully integrated, I think it will be being fully German, or like killing this Brazilian as I have on me, and that's my core. I will never be, and that's fine, especially if I am in Berlin or in a very international city, because that's also the beauty of it. I don't think that we need to be fully integrated. Of course, we can be like, I don't know, 80, 90% integrated, but fully, like 100%, that's the thing. When you tell me fully integrated, I think about like almost being 100% German. And I'm like, I don't think we need that. I don't want to be that. We can. To be honest, the more I'm here, the more Brazilian I am. Oh, girl, the more Latin American I am. Seriously.
Oh my God. No, I know what you mean. Bruna, although I had so much fun until now, we're getting to the end. And for that, I would ask you for one tip for newcomers in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I told you, like just being aware that there are pros and cons here or where you are right now. Being aware of bureaucracy can be a hassle, but don't let that kill your vibe. Don't let that hate Berlin, because there are so much to do here. when you come here, don't be afraid of people. Sometimes when we come here, we're very like, oh, I'm sorry, because we're kind of scared of everything. No, we need to be like, because I have this feeling here in the beginning that I would say that mean people, they will feel that you're scared, that you're new, that you're naive, and they will try to make you feel worse. I have a little story. For example, I was buying like some little things at the M, super simple. I was going to pay with my card, but my card didn't have like my signature. And then the woman, the cashier, she started being like, I'm going to call the police. I don't know if this is your card. And I was like brand new in Germany, like maybe a year. I was like, how can, no, police? Like, you know, if a German tells you like, I'm going to call the police, like, and I didn't have basically no good visa, nothing. I was like, oh my God. And then I would tell that even to German friends that I was making by the time. They were like, this is horrible and shouldn't do that. And you should say something. So if you know that you're right, don't be shy and show them that they are wrong. Seriously, a lot of people, they say that, immigrants, they say that in the beginning you're shy and naive and people try to be mean at you. If you're mean back at them, that's it. They're like, oh, okay. So yeah, just being aware that there are great things, bad things, and don't let assholes kill your vibe. Be with good people. You find your people. I know that it's hard to find friends when you live abroad. I would say that about finding friends, a good tip is start with your own community. For example, me as a Brazilian, I like staying with Brazilians. You as Israeli, like staying with Israeli, because it's just easier. And then also for the other cultures and other people. And then you maybe can start, not maybe, you should, of course, get to know other cultures and other people. But I think you would feel safer if you know another person, one or two that speak your language, maybe come from your city, you know, you have already friends in common. So that will be definitely my tip.
All right, you've heard it. So, Bruna, thank you so much. It was lovely to have you. And I'm hoping for those who come to Berlin and are women to join your group. I think it's a wide invitation from our side. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody who heard us. This was fun. And yeah, I hope to see you at our events. And I need to come to yours as well.
Absolutely. So I see you all in the next episode.
Yes. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Why Germany. If you want to learn more about relocation, make sure to visit overtheoffect.com, your relocation experts.